A Course in Miracles, Workbook for Students, Part 1 of the Workbook, Lesson 90. For this review, we will use these ideas. Lesson 79. Let me recognize the problem so it can be solved. Let me realize today that the problem is always some form of grievance which I would cherish. Let me also understand that the solution is always a miracle with which I let the grievance be replaced. Today, I would remember the simplicity of salvation by reinforcing the lesson that there is one problem and one solution. The problem is a grievance, the solution is a miracle, and I invite the solution to come to me through my forgiveness of the grievance and my welcome of the miracle to take its place. Specific applications of this idea might be in these forms. This presents a problem to me which I would have resolved. The miracle behind this grievance will resolve it for me. The answer to this problem is the miracle which it conceals. Lesson 80. Let me recognize my problems have been solved. I seem to have problems only because I am misusing time. I believe that the problem comes first and that time must elapse before the problem can be worked out. I do not see the problem and the answer as simultaneous, there we go, in their occurrence. That is because I do not yet realize that God has placed the answer together with the problem so that they cannot be separated by time. The Holy Spirit will teach me this if I will let Him, and I will understand it is impossible that I could have a problem which has not been solved already. These forms of the idea would be useful for specific applications. I need not wait for this to be resolved. The answer to this problem is already given me if I will accept it. Time cannot separate this problem from its solution. Lesson 90, review of Lesson 79, let me recognize the problem so it can be solved, and Lesson 80, let me recognize my problems have been solved. All right, and now we are going to go into the commentary by Alan Watson and Robert Perry. I'll show you the cover of the book, which is Thrashed, a workbook companion, second edition. I bought mine on Amazon, and I've used it for a long time, and I appreciate using it now because I haven't been in it in several years, and I really enjoy it. Lesson 90, review of Lessons 79 and 80. I'll let you go ahead and read that since I've repeated it about 3 times recently. Commentary. This review places a different slant on these two ideas than in the original lessons. There, the only problem was defined as separation. Here, more directly in sync with the preceding lessons about grievances, the problem is always some form of grievance that I would cherish. Of course, there is a close relationship between separation and grievances. A grievance separates me from whatever or whoever I hold the grievance against. So we could see a grievance as a thought or belief that separates me from my brothers. Later in the workbook, the same thought is stated slightly differently in terms of forgiveness or unforgiveness. Certain it is that all distress does not appear to be but unforgiveness, yet that is the content underneath the form. The problem is a grievance or an unforgiveness, and it doesn't always seem that way to us. Sometimes when I feel distress of some sort or experience what seems to me to be a problem, I cannot for the life of me see any grievance or unforgiveness in it. The ego is an expert at camouflage. It survives by trickery and misdirection. How can it maintain the trick of its existence except with mirrors? Its temptations to attack or to harbor unforgiveness are often so well disguised I don't detect them as such, although it is certain that is what they are. The form deceives, the content is the same. When I come to the Holy Spirit with my problems or my distress, I must be willing to be shown the grievance or unforgiveness lurking in them. For me, so often what I find is a form of grievance against myself, some form of self-judgment. Other times I don't understand the connection between my form of problem and forgiveness, but I assert my willingness to be shown, and I consciously choose a miracle for all concerned, including myself. And I can do that without seeing the form of the grievance, absolutely. Mine always go back to my fears, and it's definitely a mirror. And it's, unlovable or not good enough. And I mean, I can tie almost everything to those two things in myself. The problem is a grievance, the solution a miracle. If I can't see the exact instance of forgiveness in what I perceive as a problem, at least I can choose a miracle instead of the problem. There you go. That willingness is enough. And I just want to say that even that grievance that I spoke of, that whatever grievance I'm holding out against someone else, if it comes back to me, that doesn't make it real either. All is love or fear, so it can't be both. Okay, the idea that the problem and the answer are, here we go, simultaneous in their occurrence seems strange. It seems natural to separate them by time, first the problem, then the answer. But if the problem is separation or a grievance, the concept becomes easier to understand. And I love that because I can certainly see how that's been played out in my life, so it's always there, even though it's not even real or true. In time, the problem doesn't have to come first because of that. Anything is, again, love or fear. The only problem is separation. I hope I'm helping and not making this more confusing. God answered the separation with the Holy Spirit the instant the separation entered the mind of God's Son. Every problem I perceive, therefore, has already been resolved before I perceive it. It is impossible that I could have a problem which has not been solved already. Because separation, the only problem there ever is, has already been resolved. Therefore, I don't have to wait for circumstances to change. I can accept the peace of complete resolution now, without anything changing at all. I need not wait for this to be resolved. I like this. I have a long-standing relationship problem that in time has been going on for over 15 years and which shows no outward signs of resolution. The other party has absolutely no interest in, more properly has an aversion to talking with me. So resolution within time seems impossible. Yet I can let go of the tension this could produce in me. I can be free of the stigma of an unhealed relationship. In the holy instant, I can know that problem, that rift in relationship has already been healed. Down at the core of my mind and her mind, we are already one in love. Everything has been forgiven. The disease of separation has already been inoculated, and the medicine of forgiveness is slowly and inexorably spreading through both of our minds, moving from the invisible sphere of spirit into the more concrete, thicker sphere of manifestation in the material world. There is no cause for concern. It is the destiny of all relationships to become holy. Whether in form or not, they are holy. Today, I can recognize that this problem has already been solved. I believe my doing so speeds up the day that healing will manifest in form. It may not be in this lifetime. What does that matter? The healing has already taken place. One thing I notice as I think this way about this relationship, even as I write, accepting that the problem is already solved, frees me from the temptation to blame the other person for her refusal to make peace. Aha! A grievance was there, wasn't it, Alan? I accept a miracle in its place. Thank you. I think that's it. Lesson 90, review of Lesson 79, let me recognize the problem so it can be solved. And Lesson 80, let me recognize my problems have been solved. They almost seem to contradict one another. And that's it. Tomorrow we begin a new lesson. No more review. Alrighty, thank you for joining with me. I love you. I hope you have a beautiful day. And I appreciate your forgiveness of my blurbs and my mumbling. And I love that you're here reading with me. Thank you.